Hey, it's me, host of the Leading the Pack podcast, smartest host of all time. Yeah, so before I get into this week's episode, on YouTube at least, this is going to be the only video that you're going to be seeing because I recorded yesterday. I'm editing this today on Tuesday. Wow, shoulders are looking good. I'm editing this today on Tuesday. Recorded it yesterday because today I had work, and work is starting again this week. And yeah, I wasn't gonna be able to record today, so I had to record yesterday. And yesterday, I had to record it 3 times because 2 times the recording software crashed, and then the third time, which is this one that's going up, it didn't crash. It just I forgot to hit record for the video, and there's gonna be no video for this week. So it's just gonna be a picture of myself with the caption Shamel under it because I'm a Shamel. But yeah, so that's it. And if you want to see this face more, you can either go back and listen to this intro, but you can also just follow me on Instagram at Bonavoda. But yeah, technically no video this week. It's still gonna be uploaded on YouTube. It's still up here, but if you just want to listen to it where you don't have to be on YouTube and not see me talk, but you can just follow me, listen to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Podcast, whatever. But yeah, this week was I thought was a good one to have the video for. But yeah, forgot to hit record. It's me talking about my love and my falling in love and falling out of love with soccer. But yeah, that's all. Enjoy.
Benvenuti a Leading the Pack podcast, episode 27. Io sono il tuo host, Vincenzo Bonavora, and let's get into this. So, episode number 27. And Italy, you know what? Italy just played. As much as I want to talk about how stressful that game was and whatever, let's just do a quick synopsis of it. Great game from Austria, bad game from Italy, or an okay game from Italy. Italy still came out on top because they put Chiesa in. Chiesa's a beautiful player. His name is going to go on both those jerseys. If you're watching this on YouTube, I got the Italy jersey and this past year's away jersey from Juve. It's a great game. They won. Shutout streak is over, but it's okay because Italy still won. All right. So, as much as I really wanted to talk about that game, even though I didn't really want to talk about it because it wouldn't have been that entertaining of an episode. If you've noticed, this is the most I've talked about soccer. I started this. My first episode came out December 28th. Excuse me. This is the first time starting this. This is my third time starting this episode. I started this episode, this show on December 28th of 2020. Been doing this for 27 weeks straight, and not a single week did I start talking about soccer until I think it was episode 24. I don't really talk about soccer much, and here is the reason for it. You know what? Let's give a quick little backstory for it. I started playing soccer in 2004. That year, I won the trophy. My team won the trophy. We came first, won in the finals. It was a great season. I wasn't the best player, but I was good. As the years went on, I was becoming the best player on my team. I was a striker at first, and I was electrifying, to myself at least. There was one season where I scored in every single game, and I was the best player on my team. I was also 6, 7. But as the years went on, I got worse and worse. I switched positions from from striker to the midfield because I was just not fast enough to be a striker anymore. Now, I was growing I was a growing boy, and I've always been the tallest one of the tallest at least. I've always been one of the tallest in my age group, or the team in the grade. I've always been one of the tallest, but for a good little while I was also one of the skinniest. I was tall and skinny. 7 years old. I don't know if this is part of the reason why, but when I was 7, I went through I had a bad ankle injury. Somehow some kid perfect tackle positioning, like not football tackle, but slide tackle. He had perfect, it was perfect form for a slide tackle, but he didn't get the ball. He got this ankle right here, my right ankle, which I just sprained a couple weeks ago again. It was my first ankle injury, and it was a really bad one. It was so bad that apparently it bruised the ankle bone. And then after that, I can barely even walk all summer. I tried playing that fucking game still. That is one of my fondest memories. My coach says to me, "Are you okay?" And I say, "Yeah, I can still shoot my left foot." That's legit something that I told him. My dad would remind me that all the time. But I tried playing. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it that summer. I can barely even walk. I didn't play soccer for the rest of the year. I was done. And then that's it. But I continued playing soccer the year after. It's just that summer, I was also playing hockey. I started playing hockey at 6 years old. This was going into my third year playing hockey. And I wanted to be healthy. My dad wanted me to be healthy and not ruin my ankle. So I just wasn't really moving. I was constantly lying in bed, resting, and I wasn't moving. I was eating a lot. I was at my nonno's house a lot. My nonna was feeding me all the time. And I just, my metabolism decided to say, "Hey, finit." And then I just as the years went on, the best way to describe it, as the years went on, I got thick, and then as the years went on, it's like an extra C was added. I was getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then it was just to the point where at 10 years old, I just wasn't fit. I didn't feel good enough playing soccer. I didn't enjoy it. But then another reason for that was I was falling in love with hockey. Every year I was playing hockey every year since I was 7 till I was 17. In a league. No, sorry, from 6 till I was 17. In a league. And I still continue to play now, but I don't play soccer anymore. When I was 10, I stopped playing or after 10 years old, I stopped playing in the league. I wanted to try playing baseball because it was just different than soccer. But the reason I realized why I stopped falling in love with soccer, or I fell out of love with soccer, is because at 10 years old, I was big. It was hard to knock me off the ball, but it was easy for me to knock people off the ball. And because of that, people would fall easily, and then they would get, I would get fouls. So I realized that soccer just isn't for me. And I decided to leave soccer. And it was still a great decision of mine. I don't care what anybody says. But I'm still watching it. I'm still watching Juve play. I'm celebrating them winning the championship. I loved it. But as the years went on, 2010, I watched football. I was watching football, but I fell in love with the Packers. I've talked about this before. I started to like the Packers, but in high school, I fell in love with the Packers. Then I'm watching football every Sunday, and then Juve would be on, and then it would just be boring. I couldn't watch soccer for some reason. And I realized it this year, or I realized it before, but it set in this year again. I would watch the Packers play every Sunday. My ass is in this spot on that chair that I used to do the episodes in, that I might have ruined when the Leafs lost to the Montreal Canadiens. I would sit my ass in that chair, watching the TV right over here, and I would just be watching football all day. And then Juve might play. If they played on Sundays, I would put them on the big screen. I would put them on my TV, and then I'd have the football games on my laptop. And then I'd be watching the game, and I realize I'm on my phone, or I'm just paying more attention to the football game. So I put the football game on the TV, and I put the soccer game on my laptop, and I'm just listening to the soccer game. I couldn't watch soccer anymore. It's just not for me. The amount of diving that's in the sport, the amount of corruption that's in the sport, is just ruined for me. And I love soccer. One of my fondest memories, soccer has been a huge part for me. One of my fondest memories growing up as a kid was Italy winning the 2006 World Cup. One of the games that stands in my head is, you might think it's the World Cup final, one game that I will continue to go back and watch. And of course that game I love to go back and watch it, but the game that I go back and watch the most is the semifinals against Germany. When it goes into extra time and Grosso scores the game-winning goal. 1-0 Italy. And then Del Piero scores that goal. And I remember as a kid, I was going nuts when Del Piero scored. And then they go to the World Cup finals and they beat France in the shootout. And then we go to St. Clair, and St. Clair was a party. Soccer was so huge, was so big, was so much a part of my life that it was, in a way, part of my sexual awakening. Because that was the first time I saw, I don't know if I should be talking about this. I don't really care. It's very private, but I don't really care. I talk about it. I don't give a shit. So big a part of my, like, I saw my first shirtless girl at 6 years old on St. Clair. And I can still remember it. So big. Such a big time for me. I love soccer, but as the years go on, and as good as the national team has been, making it to the Euro Cup, to the World Cup, making it to the Euro Cup final in 2012, 2016, they make it to, I think it was the quarters of the semis against Germany. And they lost, but no, actually no, sorry. It was the quarters against Germany. They make it to the quarters against Germany, and Germany beats them. They missed the World Cup in 2018, and that was just one thing that just, yeah. But this year was I guess you could say it was an important year for soccer for me, because as much as the Euro Cup, I've falling back in love with the sport. I fell out of love so much with the sport. Juve has been so frustrating. Actually, I'd even say 2019 was a big year for me. From 2019, I've been really falling more and more out of love with the sport. Ronaldo comes to the team, and he's not the reason why or him coming to the team, like, isn't directly the reason why I'm falling out of love with the sport. Ever since Ronaldo has come, I just haven't enjoyed watching. Well, I'm going to repeat what I said. Ever since Ronaldo joined Juve, I haven't enjoyed watching Juve. The team is out of sync. It's like he ruined the... oh my god, I can't remember the word now. How am I forgetting the word? Oh my god. Wow, I can't remember the word. How am I always forgetting words when I'm talking? Oh my god, he ruined the chemistry. That's the word that I'm trying to think of. He ruined the chemistry of the team. He almost ruined Dybala, if you ask me. He just hasn't helped his team. He's a great player, but he is not a great player for this team. I hope he leaves, because this isn't, as much as Ronaldo's a great player, nobody's cheering for this team for you, because of you, except for the Ronaldo fanboys, who's going to go follow you off to your next destination. He's ruined this team, and it seems like he's made it more about himself. I can't stand them. What was I going to go with this? And 2019, they lose to Ajax in the round of 16. 2020, they lose to Lyon in the round of 16. This year, they didn't even make it to the round of 16. They lost to Porto in the first round of the knockout stages. Excuse me. It has just been not fun to watch this team. Ever since Ronaldo came, it's just been boring to watch them. And I can't stand watching this team. Now, that might be a big part of it, but another reason of it is this year. Ronaldo, or Juve again, doesn't make it to past the round of 16. Doesn't even make it to the round of 16 this year. They lose to Porto, which is a team that is, again, not as good as Juve. Should not be beating Juve. And then the Super League happens. Juve doesn't win the Serie A this year for the first time in 9 years. But that's not a big thing for me. I can live with that. The big thing for me is Ronaldo, or the Super League. I've seen Juve win the Serie A more times in my life than I've seen Toronto win a playoff game. Juve in the past 10 years, I've seen Juve win more Serie A championships, and the Leafs have won playoff games since 2013. And that's basically the same time span. Haven't seen Toronto win as many playoff games as I've seen Juve or whatever. No, because what? Toronto won 3 games in 2013, then 3 games in 2018, then 3 games in 2019. Didn't win any games the year before, and then 3 games this year. So Toronto's won a few more. But in my lifespan, I've seen Juve win more Serie A championships than Toronto has won playoff games. I don't care if they win the Serie A championship. I care if they win I care if they win the Champions League. I don't care for that. And they can't get that done with Ronaldo, and Ronaldo has seemed to make it worse. But the thing that's made it worse for me is the Super League thing. If you don't know the Super League thing that has happened, Juventus, Barcelona, and Real Madrid have tried to recruit teams. They tried to recruit 9 more teams to make a Super League with them. I think it was like 6 Champions League, Premier League teams. It was no Bayern, I don't think. No PSG. It was a few more. I think it was Barca, Real Madrid, and Atletico from Spain. I think it was Juve, Napoli, and Inter from whatever, and I can't remember the teams. I know for sure those Juve, Barca, and Real Madrid. Juve, Barca, every other team leaves or disavows, I guess you could say, the Super League. Juve, Real Madrid continue to try and get this Super League going. And Juve did not want to stop. They wanted to continue until it was a thing. Now, you might think, what's wrong with having the 12 best teams or the best teams in one league? Now, you might be saying that as a non-soccer fan. Think of this, for the soccer fans who know, or the soccer fans who, the non-casual soccer fans, the actual soccer fans, know that this is a bad idea. Soccer is a poor man's game that's being stolen by the rich. That's how it was described when I was reading up on this thing a couple months back. If you have, now a lot of people don't realize is soccer is it's not just the Serie A, Ligue 1, Premier League, whatever. You have different divisions. You have different leagues. You have leagues below each other. You have the Serie A, Serie B, Serie C, and Serie D. Of course, Serie A is the best one. But you get relegated, you're going to go to the Serie B. And if you get relegated from Serie B, you're going to go to Serie C. If you get relegated to Serie C, you get Serie D. Serie D. And the same thing for Premier League. If you get relegated from the Premier League, you're going to go down to the Championship. If you get relegated from Ligue 1, you're going to go to Ligue 2. You get relegated from La Liga, you go to Kekatsu. You go to, I don't know, you go play in Portugal. I don't know how it works. I don't know the other league over there. When you have these smaller teams that play in the league, you depend on the bigger teams. Like, I'm going to use the Serie A as the example. You have the biggest team in the Serie A, of course, is going to be Juve. Everybody can recognize Juve. Juve has become a huge, a monster in the soccer world, but also the fashion world. Because the reason why they changed the logo from this to that, a big reason is because they wanted to be able to be simple so they can use it for fashion-wise. I still love this logo, of course, but that makes sense. When you have teams like that who make money off of jerseys that can pay off everything because of jersey sales, you make so much money off of sponsorships. You make tons of money off of viewership. You need these bigger teams in your league to support the smaller teams. Nobody's watching Chievo. Who's watching Chievo? Who's watching Atalanta? Who's watching teams like Parma, Palermo, Lecce? Nobody's watching them. So, the reason why you need these big teams in the same league as these small teams is because, for one, the viewership also goes to these small teams. If Juve is playing a team like Parma or Sassuolo, you're gonna have fans watching Sassuolo because they want to watch Juve, they want to watch Inter, AC Milan, Napoli, Roma, whoever. You have these bigger teams bringing eyes to the smaller teams, for one, so that gives you smaller teams viewership. But then you also have more sponsorships that can go to them because they're getting the viewership, and the sponsors are going to want to sponsor that game because they know that that people are going to be watching them because they want to watch Juve. And you might have the fans that watch the games. I'm not saying that nobody watches them. You're going to have fans that support the team and that watch that game. But you're going to have a majority of the fans that are going to be Juve fans, Roma fans, Napoli fans, AC Milan, Inter, even Atalanta. So you have these bigger teams supporting these smaller clubs with just the fans' eyes. But then you have the sponsorships because of the fans' eyes. And when you have the sponsorships and you have money coming in, you have the money to develop players. And if it's different in soccer, you don't really see players sticking with teams that stink like you would do in, say football or hockey. These teams will sell off these players to the bigger teams. For example, Juve is looking to buy Locatelli from Sassuolo. He's a 25-year-old player. He wasn't developed by them. He was actually developed by AC Milan, which I don't know why they got rid of him. Locatelli Juve is looking to buy Locatelli, and it's looking like it's going to be a bidding war, or other teams are looking to persuade Locatelli to go away from Juve with more money. So because of that, Juve is looking to buy. Let's just say Juve buys him for 30 million euros. That money goes towards the team, and they can use that money basically however the way that you want. They can buy more players. They can put that money towards the facilities to develop more players to sell them off to other teams. So when you don't have, if you have all the big teams in a league, in a single league, these smaller teams are losing viewership. Who's going to watch Lecce versus Parma? Who's going to be watching, let's just say, because Roma I don't think was part of the Super League. Who's going to watch Roma versus Parma? I probably won't be watching that, to be honest with you. Maybe the Roma fans, yeah, but other than the Roma fans, who's going to be watching that game? I'm not going to. The casual viewers are going to watch that game. I'd much rather watch Juve versus Bayern. No, I'd much rather watch, because Bayern wasn't in. I'd much rather watch Juve versus Barcelona. So when all the eyes are on the Super League because you have the best teams playing against each other and nobody's watching teams like Parma, Lecce, Sassuolo, Palermo, whatever, these smaller teams, these teams that are going to be losing sponsorships because nobody's watching them anymore. And when you're losing sponsorships, you're losing money going towards your program to develop these players to sell to the bigger teams. You're not going to be able to make enough money just from selling players to these bigger teams. You're not going to be making enough money to continue your program. You're not going to be developing great players. That's why the Super League doesn't work. Because if you're doing the Super League, you're basically going to ruin every other team that's not in that league. Like teams even like Roma wouldn't be able to survive just from their fans. People want to watch Juve versus Roma. Roma would have to join that Super League. These bigger teams would have to join that Super League because nobody's going to be watching them anymore. That's why it doesn't work. Like as much as PSG, they didn't join it because like they have French people who work for UEFA. They would have probably gone they would have gone in the Super League too because nobody's watching them anymore. People want to watch these big teams play each other, and that's what the Champions League is for. So it wouldn't have worked out. That's why I didn't like to support. That's why it ruined me with with soccer too, just in this past year. But the big thing for me is the theatrics that are with soccer. Soccer is a huge sport, and it's an easy sport for people to play. But if you watch the games now, it's almost unwatchable. I'm constantly yelling, and I'm not saying that I'm yelling at the other team, like specifically. I'm yelling at all the players that are playing that are diving. Ronaldo is a perfect example. One reason why I will never get a Ronaldo jersey and why I will never like him as a player, that guy is 6'2". I think he's about 230 pounds shredded. Pure muscle. I'm 6'2", okay? I'm not 230 pure muscle. I'm more 280, a little bit of muscle, mostly Jvoyetel. He is about my height. If you can see me, I don't know if you can see all of me because I might be cut off from the camera. That is the same height as Ronaldo, and he follows like my 3-year-old cousin has better stability because he's a very stable player. He just falls easily. My 3-year-old cousin, my 5-year-old goddaughter doesn't fall like he does, and she is a twig. And as much as I love her, I love her with all my heart. She's fucking cutest. She falls easily, but doesn't fall as easily as him. But yeah, I just don't. That's the reason why I don't really talk about soccer as much. I just don't care for it as much as I used to. I don't care for it to make an entire show out of it, except for because of the Euros. Now, will the Euros save soccer for me, and I will be talking about soccer more? We don't know. We will see. I don't know if this is going to be the last time I talk about, or I don't know if I'll be talking whenever it ends for Italy, whether they get knocked out the next game against Belgium, whether they get knocked out or they win in the finals or lose in the finals, doesn't matter. I don't know if this is going to be the last time I talk about it. Or I don't know if that'll be the last time I'll be talking about it is. All I know is I just want this sport to just be fixed. Soccer's a beautiful sport. I love watching soccer. A lot of, the best way to describe it is a lot of hockey fans will describe hockey as being the best sport with the worst league. And soccer can also be described as, it's not the best sport. I still think hockey's a better sport. But it's a great sport that's ruined by shit leagues and shit heads. It's just, I can't stand watching it. I can't stand looking at all the news where you have these corrupt officials just ruining the sport for money. But that's it. Anyways, Italy's going to be playing Belgium the next round. So I'll be talking about that next week, even though I'll be missing the game. Most likely because I got work on Friday. So I'm trying to get somebody to take that shift. But yeah, but that's a pretty good thing. Portugal got knocked out. Not that I would have rather not played Portugal, because Portugal isn't Belgium. Belgium's the number 1 ranked team, and they're trying to get their stars back for the next game. But it's good if you're living in Toronto. So I put out a tweet saying that hopefully Portugal gets knocked out by Belgium so that construction can resume in Toronto. Now, when the Euro Cup started, let's just say they would have repeated. It would have taken about a year extra for the construction to continue. But they got knocked out, so you might have to give it a couple weeks. So let's just say give them 2 more weeks for them to recover from this loss. I know it's a big loss for Portuguese soccer fans. Usually they just, other than the round of 16, they don't really make it that far. Other than last year, they don't really make it past the round of 16. But give the Portuguese fans some time to recuperate. They're going to need it. But yeah, so now that that's over, construction can resume. So it looks like Dufford and Eglinton, it should be back on schedule to be finished by about 2020, about maybe 2042. So yeah, that's all for this week. I don't really want to talk anymore. My mouth is getting dry, and I'm getting tired. I've done this episode 3 times already because the recording program crashed. That's all for this week. You can follow me on Instagram at Bonavora. Follow the podcast on Instagram at Leading the Pack Pod. You can follow me on Twitter at Bonavora_ with the capital B, and you can also follow me on TikTok if you want. Same thing at Bonavora_ with the capital B. I don't really make TikToks anymore. I'm getting bored. I haven't done a TikTok in a while. I don't really care to do it, but just if you want to follow me and see some stupid jokes, go right ahead. But yeah, that's all for this week. Forza Azzurri e vaffanculo. Ciao.